Hey guys, I am back again for another Batman video, and we're going over some more Kenner figures, primarily only focusing on the movies Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. So of course, continuing off the videos that I made previously that I was obviously saying that I was going to be getting certain figures that I still left out in the collection, I have finally got myself certain figures that I have been holding off on, and now we're going to take a look at them. So continuing out the previous video that I did, which is basically a haul going over figures that I have yet to get, and I finally got them now. So I don't want to go on for too much. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first figure we're going to take a look at, we're going to go start backwards in terms of like the year these figures been released. We're going to start with Batman and Robin with Mr. Freeze. This is the Wave 2 variation of the character, and this is the more movie accurate version. This is supposed to be the Bazooka Blast Mr. Freeze. Now, of course, the figure itself, the overall figure is basically the movie version of Mr. Freeze. It does got a little bit of paint wear on him, but as you can see, the detailing on the figure is basically just like how he looks in the film. Weirdly enough, it doesn't have his eyes painted in, but you can definitely see the Arnold Schwarzenegger likeness, or I'm not sure if it's supposed to be Arnold Schwarzenegger's likeness. It might be the stunt double, who knows? Because Chris O'Donnell worked with the stunt double more than he worked with actually working with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But yeah, his likeness is there. It's very clear that this is Arnold Schwarzenegger, despite that his eyes are not painting in on the figure. But you can clearly, it's funny when you don't see his eyes painted in. It's like, it still looks like he can see his face and his eyes right there. I mean, again, this figure is nicely sculpted. It's an overall nice figure. It's not nearly as overly shiny as one of the other variations released in a 2-pack, because there is a shinier version of this character in a 2-pack that came with the Batman figure and all that. But again, the overall figure in general, I'm just doing a turntable right now. It's overall very nice. The suit design is really incredible. I know I said it over and over again, but I'm just gonna have to keep rolling with it. But I just think overall that the figure looks really good. And also, you got those shoulder pads. They're not articulated, so it does hinder a little bit with the arm articulation. I guess it's supposed to be all right though, because the suit is bulky anyway, so it's gonna have some limitations when it comes to mobility. So if anything, it's a really good looking figure. I don't have the accessory that he comes with, which is obviously his freezing gun, which is supposed to be a missile firing launcher. I don't have that particular gun, so all I have is the figure, and I got this at a pretty decent price. I did not get it for the expensive price that I thought this figure was in, because it's quite difficult to get some of these figures. So that's that particular figure. The second figure going over is the other Mr. Freeze figure that came out in the second wave of action figures, and that is the Jetwing Mr. Freeze, which comes with the retractable wings, where he jumps out of his rocket ship and starts flying. And he also has his red goggles on, which would have been cool if he had his red goggles throughout the entirety of the film, because again, Mr. Freeze's red goggles is kind of like the thing that makes Mr. Freeze look like Mr. Freeze. I don't know, his goggles look really cool, so I will say he definitely looks very nice with those goggles on. The color palette of the action figure itself is quite different than the other one right there, which is the standard version. And don't know why they had to repaint the figure's overall look, because they could have kept it exactly the same as this Mr. Freeze figure, because again, it would have been a little bit more consistent. But at the same time, he looks pretty nice overall. So don't really got much to say other than that. He's basically the same figure as the other Mr. Freeze in that same wave of figures. He just came with the wings that are screwed onto him. Has a different head scope, which contains the goggles. And he also comes with a non-functioning freezing gun, which is pretty nice overall. I'm putting that right there. Seeing the gun itself, and as you can see, I'm not sure if it's 100% movie accurate, but it definitely does look like the same blaster that he would carry. And it also does fit on this Mr. Freeze figure as well, so it's pretty nice overall. It does fit nicely on him. So if this was just a standard figure without the little gimmick or little action feature, it's pretty fine overall. If anything, if this Mr. Freeze figure was released without the action feature missile, they would have just had this and a couple of diamonds to pose alongside if he had an open hand scope. And also, before we move on to the next figure to take a look at, let's go ahead and compare it to the previous Mr. Freeze figure that I owned, which is the only one at the time that I owned. A much less movie accurate, more comic style or concept art based Mr. Freeze figure. And overall, I did say that I still like this figure, and still to this point, I still like it. It's a pretty nice looking figure. I mean, let's just be real. It still looks cooler than the movie version in terms of like how he looks on the head. I mean, the head sculpt doesn't really match Arnold Schwarzenegger's look, but at the same time, it just looks really cool. I mean, I'm not sure if I can see Arnold Schwarzenegger's face on that one, but it just looks really cool. This figure is still definitely one of my favorites in terms of Mr. Freeze figures because it just looks so cool. The translucent glass, it actually does make it look really cool. But again, all three of these figures look very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and move them aside. And it's also nice to finally own them without trying to spend so much money on them because, again, some of these figures are very difficult to find. I thought I was going to spend a crazy amount of money just to try to get those two particular Mr. Freeze figures, but thankfully, I didn't have to. Then the next figure we're going to go over from the Batman and Robin line, this is the last one I have right now, and that is Frostbite, Mr. Freeze's henchman. And if I had to explain the getup that he has on, because again, I have no idea what the heck this is other than I know the name of it, and I'll have to say it in the distance because it's Ice Assault Luge and Self-Shielding Hockey Armor. It's quite a confusing accessory, but overall it is quite a cool figure. And the one thing I gotta really say about this Batman and Robin toy line is that they did one thing that the Batman Forever toy line did not do, and that was giving us at least one henchman. So you can army build a lot of henchmen. Basically, this is the only henchman they ever made, so this is quite the army builder. Batman Forever could have at least done the same with a two-face henchman army building situation, but they never did it, which is really disappointing once you think about it a little further, because Batman and Robin gets all the fun having henchmen for Mr. Freeze. Going over the figure itself, it's just an overall nice figure to actually own, but I will also say it's very confusing with all the accessories because, again, it's quite the complicated figure when it comes to that accessory, so I had to take everything off. But let's go over the figure itself, because the figure itself is quite nicely sculpted. I mean, it's a pretty cool looking figure. I'm not sure if I want to say it's 100% film accurate, but this came out a year after. Henchmen do look pretty duped out, if anything. And it's just an overall nice looking figure. It's just, I really do like the way that looks. The head, it's like, they got a nice looking hockey mask. The overall look of the figure, this looks very, very cool. It's got the skulls on his shoulders for shoulder pads. And of course, the movie version, they had like, well, one of the henchmen, I'm assuming, if I had to remember how many henchmen were there that has an outfit like this, one of the skulls was attached to their crotch. But yeah, overall, the sculpt of this action figure, it's just a henchman, but overall, it's a nicely sculpted henchman. I also like the colors on it they choose too. They did a good job with this figure. It's just an overall very cool looking henchman figure. I don't really got much to say other than it just looks really cool. That's all it is to go by on that. And then the accessory, this is supposed to be the luge part right here. And the hockey parts, I just detached from the accessory itself. I mean, yeah, again, this is a very, very complicated set. I have no idea how it really works, but here's the whole thing attached and assembled. I mean, this whole area here is supposed to be the mask portion. Well, as you can see, it was basically covering up like this, or it can go in the back. I don't know. It can be done two different ways. It's supposed to be like the type of accessory that is like many things in one, I guess. But it's an overall nicely designed accessory, and also the hockey sticks right here are detachable, and they're also a push button mechanism because they got that weird push button mechanism that's based on Jurassic Park 3's figures from Hasbro, where it's like you just push it with your hands like this, and that thing's attached right there, and you just shoot it out like that. But it's not pretty good. At least from that angle, it's not pretty good. But I have to try it again. Okay, it's good like that if I hold the hockey sticks up like that. It's basically just holding it up like that. It would work a lot better. Yeah, that actually works a lot better. But yeah, it actually does. Like, again, I have to admit, it's a nicely designed looking accessory. But again, it's almost confusing if you don't know exactly what to do because, yeah, no accessory, instruction manual, whatever, was included with this figure as far as I'm concerned. I'm not sure if it even was one included entirely. I didn't get this figure with the package. I just got it loose entirely. But again, overall, it's overall very nice accessory. Just gotta really hammer it out right there. It also goes down like that. But again, like I said, this figure is pretty nice. And it's the only good thing that I can really say the most about Batman and Robin is that they attempted to expand the line with at least more villains. So that's all I really gotta say on that one. So I finally got all those particular figures from the Batman and Robin toy line. Now let's go ahead and move on to Batman Forever. And I did say this in the last video that I was gonna get this figure. And that is, of course, Power Beacon Batman. Finally in my collection, Power Beacon Batman. This is exactly what I was saying beforehand, that I at least want to get this one. I finally got to get it because this one always piqued my interest. This is definitely one of the figures based on the Sonar suit Batman, because you can tell by the suit design and all that. But it's also really cool because it's all in black. Not entirely in black, but it has a really cool action feature. I definitely want to see if it actually still works. But going over the package, and as you can see, it's got the typical standard Batman Forever package design, which looks really freaking cool. And you got Batman over here with that weapon of his, the power beacon weapon that he has, that also attached to his bat symbol, which, again, it was an action feature that we'll go over a little bit. Again, this is a great looking illustration of Batman. It just looks so cool. And the Batman Forever logo down there, the figure itself in the package. Power Beacon Batman with light force suit and flash fire weapon. Body adapted tech suit. I guess that's what that thing says right there. And the Kenner logo down there. I forgot to mention about the Kenner logo being down there. And at the back, we're going over the back, and we've got the instructions of what you can do with the figure. And then we go down here, we can see the line of different figures you can collect from the lineup. We got the Batboat, Ice Blade Batman, Micro Batcave playset, Power Beacon Batman, which we have right now, Batarang Batman, Bruce Wayne Batman set, Street Bagger Robin, which I already have, but I don't have enough of the accessories, just have the single figure. Aerodisc Shooter, Hydro Claw Robin, the Dick Grayson Suit Up Robin figure, Sonar Sensor Batman, which might be another figure I might plan on getting because I actually like the way that suit is designed, and that's when it's supposed to be like based on the suit that was supposed to be made for Michael Keaton when he was going to do a third Batman film, but they never went full-fledged for it. So maybe someday I will get this figure next. And I got 900 Batman, which I actually have that Batman only to use as a custom figure for the Val Kilmer custom Batman figure that I did. I have the Blast Cape Batman, but I used that for a custom. Fire Guard Batman, which I actually used to own a long time ago, but I lost that figure. Two-Face, I only got the 2-pack version. I don't got that version of the Riddler, but I've already got the Talking Riddler and the 2-pack Riddler, which is all based on the movie variations. Manta Ray Batman, Attack Wing Batman, Martial Arts Robin, and the Robin Cycle. The official Batman brand logo, the Kenner Proof of Purchase stuff, and then the Body Adapt Tech suit logo again. Now I can stop wasting my time talking about the package and stuff. Let's go ahead and get Power Beacon Batman out of the package. Also, fair warning, I forgot to mention this package was stapled. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, let's go ahead and take him out now. Okay, so now we have Power Beacon Batman out of his package, and I had to go through a little trial and error to actually trying to replace the batteries and make sure everything was intact, but it comes with that little battery compartment kit that he has, and be surprised that it finally freaking works. But we'll get to the action feature in a bit. Let's just take a look at the Batman figure in general, because this is what I came here for. The Batman figure is basically the Sonar suit Batman, but this time it's all encased in black, and the only thing that's a little different is the way the bat symbol is shaped. It looks like the standard 1989 Batman logo this time, and it's all encased in an oval, but it's supposed to be a line for the action feature because the way it's shaped for his weapon, which we'll go over a little bit. The overall suit design is basically the Sonar suit, but it has the green aspects of his abs. It's like all encased in this color to match what it could do for the action feature. But again, if it was all black, this would really look damn good. I mean, an all black Batman figure in general is always very nice to own. Like that George Clooney mail away figure that I took a look at last time in my video. I'll definitely make a comparison to this figure in terms of how it looks together with them in a little bit. But again, the overall sculpting of the figure, it's looking like how it looks in the film. This basically the suit's colors is not accurate, but at the same time, the overall suit design is accurate to how it's supposed to be seen in the film. It's the overall Sonar suit, like I said. It's just an overall very nice looking figure. Also got that good old Val Kilmer likeness. I really love the way that head sculpt is sculpted. Again, just a very cool looking figure, and there's definitely some different variations of this particular sculpt in many different ways. This figure always stood out to me because I always really liked the all black suit, but the green at the same time, it's like at the time I didn't really like it as much, but at the same time, looking at it now in person, it's just looking so incredibly cool. It's just finally cool to own this figure. And this is the cape that it comes with. It's got the little bulb attachment right there and the clamps so you can put the figure on there. And the figure's batteries are AAA batteries as it holds, and then here's the cape on the outside right here. Basically just a standard plastic cape with a button attached at the top. We put the figure on here, and I'm trying to do it carefully, otherwise the action figure might not work. But go ahead and keep that there, and we'll go over a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weapon, because it's definitely a weird looking weapon. Not sure what it's supposed to really match, but again, it's got this laser attachment right here. It actually looks nicely designed, to be honest. I just like the translucent plastic they use for it. It just looks so cool. And it's got the attachments right here, so you can definitely put it in his hands. Like I said, the oval shape right there, it's supposed to clamp right there together onto his bat symbol. As you can see, right there. Hopefully it's perfectly aligned, just like that. And of course, let's go ahead and give it a go. There we go, it works. Might as well go ahead and turn off the light to see a little better. Okay, let's try it again. Wow. There we go. It's working. I thought it didn't work at first, but it's working. But that's how it looks. It looks so cool. Wow. This is the power beacon action feature. Just that looks so cool. Yeah, just I can't help but just admit that is so cool looking. It's actually lighting up a lot better on camera than it is like in real time. But yeah, the action feature does work after almost 30 years, and I'm quite happy. I thought it wasn't going to work because again, it took a bit for me to actually get that to working because I thought it wouldn't work after I tried to replace the batteries and I had to re-screw the bulb in and all of that. So yep, it does work. And then there's the bat symbol lit up along with his abs. It just that's quite cool looking right there. And it's funny, it lights up in yellow, so it kind of matches the whole black and yellow idea of Batman rather than just being green. It's funny how it's encased in a green color, yet it lights up more yellow, and that's pretty cool. So for comparison, we're going to go ahead and get the custom Val Kilmer Batman right here and the Recon Hunter Val Kilmer Batman right here. And honestly, it just looks pretty nice seeing them all together. They all blend pretty nicely together. Of course, this Recon Hunter Batman figure has a custom cape I had attached, just like the custom Val Kilmer Batman on here. I mean, as you can see, obviously this one feels a little bit bigger because it's using a body sculpt for the Batman and Robin Batman figure. This is a little bit more of a movie accurate sculpt in terms of the sculpting, but not the colors, obviously. I just thought this one still definitely looks like a cooler representation of the Sonar suit, even though it's also not nearly as accurate. It definitely has a few differences, but I think this one's still a pretty cool figure. If you haven't found the Recon Hunter Batman, it's definitely a cool figure in general to pick up. And I also really like this figure too. And then we got a few more Batman figures to compare to. We got my second custom Val Kilmer Batman, which is basically the Blast Cape Batman figure right here. This is just basically a much more like Keaton style custom, I guess, like a hybrid between a Keaton and a Val Kilmer. I mean, I guess you could say that, but seriously though, this was basically the second custom Val Kilmer figure I have right here. And then I also have the mail away George Clooney Batman figure right next to it. Like I said, just these figures really, to me, I just love the bat suits all in black mostly. It just looked really, really nice. Of course, this figure couldn't even stand up properly because of the cape being too front heavy, but yeah, it's obviously supposed to be the exact same figure as the custom Val Kilmer one that I have, or just basically this is a repaint of Heat Scan Batman, all black with a silver emblem. This is a very cool George Clooney Batman figure. If you haven't gotten this figure yet, definitely recommend getting this figure if you really want a really damn good looking George Clooney Batman figure. This is definitely the best one to get. Alrighty, so that's going to be it for this video. These are definitely some very nice figures, and I'm very relieved that the Power Beacon Batman figure also still works. Again, one more time. There we go. It still works. That's all that I wanted, that the figure would still work after almost 30 years. Again, it's not exactly 30, but it's almost 30. Just got one more year left. That's next year. All these figures are just very nice figures. Definitely recommend finding these if you can find them for a cheap and affordable price or not. But again, these are still quite difficult to come across because they're still quite pricey at the same time. But yeah, definitely really like these figures. And once again, really never going to stop collecting most of these figures from the Schumacher era Batman films, because now might as well just go ahead and say that I love these movies more than the Tim Burton films. Even though I love the Tim Burton films, just gotta admit that I'm more of a Schumacher fan at this point now. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will be seeing you guys later.